Welcome back to Wizard Supercoach. We're in that weird period between Christmas and New Year's now where no one really knows what day it is, and that includes me. But given the amount of interest in the last video I did, I'm guessing that everyone's a bit footy starved and looking real hard for Supercoach content. So I thought I'd chuck out another video pretty close to the last one. As I said, I'm not doing what I did last preseason, going every day or trying to go for a 20-day streak or anything like that, because that just got too stressful. But yeah, I will be trying to put them out pretty quick, and yeah, hopefully it passes the time quickly before the season gets here, because it will be here before we know it. Now, in today's video, it's similar to the last one, except for now we're doing midfielders with the pre and post bye averages. So again, there's no sub games included. No injury games, nothing like that. So it's just pure games. And what we are looking for here is, if there is a big differential here, so, in the positive or the minus or whatever, we kind of want to know why. And we want to see if the cause of that, if we can find it, is likely to continue or not continue in 2026, so that we can make some kind of informed decision or, a total gamble. So we'll start at the top. So Fiorini, he had, from what I can see, the biggest post-buy spike. So 28.4 on average. Now he's gone to Essendon now for more opportunity, and really, I think, to be honest, Gold Coast probably should have kept him. I've always rated him more than most people. But the good thing is he will have a lot more opportunity at Essendon. So, it's kind of win-win, I guess. So yeah, the reason why he was only averaging 77 in the pre-buy here was, again, it was just all about opportunity and, cementing a spot in the team. So second half of the year, he started to get CBAs, and, he really cemented that spot. And yeah, we've seen now what he can score like, which he always kind of could, but it was quite a consistent run for a whole half a year, I would say. So he's definitely going to get that kind of opportunity at Essendon. I don't know about the CBA so much, but yeah, he'll definitely, he'll be a permanent fixture in that team, I think. So one to watch there. Dan Curtin from the Crom. Big jump here, 24 points on average. I couldn't really find anything, to be honest, that would tell us the obvious reason. So he obviously hit that hot patch. He averaged 114 between rounds 16 and 20. Now, that was obviously really good, but yeah, nothing really stood out. Like, his heat maps weren't really any different. I think it's just, we know that he's got massive potential as a player. He's a bit of a freak, like, with the size of him and the way he plays. And given his age, he's still going to be inconsistent and stuff. So I think we were just seeing a bit of his top end there, and there's still going to be low end and stuff. So yeah, I don't think it was role based or anything. The only thing I will say is that he goaled in all of those games except for the round 20 game. But in round 20, he had 52% CBAs. So I think he played some weaker teams in that stretch as well, from memory. I think it was Melbourne and Richmond, maybe. They played the Bulldogs. We know that the Bulldogs, they're not the best defensive team, so a winger like Curtin's probably going to score big on him, but not to take anything away from him. So the interesting thing here is that in round 20, when he had the 52% CBAs, he obviously scored well. Is Matty Nicks going to give him more CBAs this year? I would hope so, but you just never know with Nicks. So definitely one to keep an eye on. If the Crows flag it in the preseason that Curtin is going to be spending more time in the midfield, or a lot more time, then yeah, suddenly I think he becomes really relevant. Otherwise, apart from that, it's if he stays on the wing or playing that kind of half forward role where he goes between, it's just going to be a punt on natural progression. So yeah, we're looking for that midfield role. Rao here, obviously, he had a big spike as well. His tackles increased by 2.5 a game, so that's, I don't know, roughly 10 points in Supercoach, I would say. And he started to kick more than handball. Contested possessions, he started to average 4 more a game. So I went looking for the reason why that might be, and honestly, I couldn't find it. But that accounts for the 20-point increase, I would say. So the tackles, the contested possessions, and the fact that he kicked more than handball. I even looked into whether like Witt started winning more hitouts or something like that, but he didn't. So yeah, I don't know. Rao just hit form. It seems like a lot of these players, they kind of just ramp up as the season goes, and they really hit their stride in the second half of the year. Dunkley was an interesting one, so I didn't expect to find this, I guess, but he averages this year he averaged 139 without Lachie Neale. So yeah, I think Neale probably will play less as he's getting older. He certainly won't play more. Or, if he does play more games, it won't be as much game time and stuff. So I think that's good for Dunkley. It's a good sign. And he's ultra consistent. The only real thing I could find in his stat line for the post-buy was his tackles were up 2.5 a game. And we know he gets a lot of points from tackles. So, yeah, that's a good thing. But, with Dunkley, you know what you're going to get regardless. So you pick it in for consistency. I've said that in every time I've discussed him, basically. I owned him this year. So, yeah, that's not going to change. Nick Dacos, 17.4 increase. His CBA has actually dropped 17% post-buy. So he spent more time at half-back. I think he scores better there than playing more in the centre. So it's pretty clear from this that this year his CBAs, and I will do a video on this in the near future where we look at how much certain midfielders are dependent on CBAs and whether they score better with or without them, because we know that not all midfielders score better with them. I know the belief commonly is that more CBAs equal more points, but it's not the case with every player. So yeah, Dacos had that drop and started to score more. So yeah, it kind of backs up my theory just from the eye test that he probably does have a bit more freedom and scores better off the halfback. So yeah, interesting to watch with that. Now that De Goey's back, does Dacos possibly stay out of there a bit more? There's definitely a watch to see what their midfield mix is going to be, and I guess that affects Ned Long as well, who I'll get to later. So Heaney, my man that I so far will be picking, he's probably locked in, I would say. He's pretty much just with and without Goulden. So Goulden didn't play pre-bye, and he played all the games after the bye. So Heaney got tagged without Goulden quite a bit, and they pretty much dropped the tags in the second half of the year. He spent a little bit more time forward, and he averaged one extra goal a game post-bye. And we know that Heaney relies a bit... he's not like other midfielders. He kind of relies on scoring a little bit to score well, and we know that he does. He scores more goals than most midfielders, so yeah, that kind of explains itself. But it's definitely, I think, the with or without Goulden thing. So yeah, if Goulden's fit, then it's another reason to just lock Heaney in. But if Goulden goes down, then I probably would shy away from the pick, if I'm honest. Another thing that this could be as well, and it's another video that is coming soon, is we'll look at how players score on average in wins and losses. So does it end up being a case of Sydney, if Sydney win, is it because Heaney scored well? Or does Heaney score well because Sydney win? Like, you kind of got to look at it that way. But yeah, we'll get to that with another video. So Tuke Miller, this was a really hard one. I honestly have no idea. So you'll have to let me know in the comments what happened here. But looking at his stat line, most of his key stats post-bye, they either dropped off, had small decreases, or they just didn't change at all. There was pretty much nothing that increased. So I'm guessing that he just had like more score involvements or something like that, or he did things at key times in games. Gold Coast second half of the year as well was, I think they lost more games in the first half. So I don't know, maybe Miller's going to turn out to be one of those where he scores better in losses. I don't know. Yeah, let me know on that one. Because yeah, some of these are really hard to find out what happened. You kind of need the eye test, but it's a long time ago now, so I've forgotten a lot. Callahan, who was a popular pick last year, or this year I should say, I started with him and I traded him out after he kind of went quiet after the first couple of games. I was sick of him getting tagged. So yeah, there was that. He got tagged. I think he worked out how to break through a tag in the second half of the year. And also his CBAs went up by 10% post-buy. So it's probably pretty safe to say that he's one of those players. More CBAs equals more score. And LDU, he's the same. So he had a 5% CBA increase post-buy. I know that's not a lot, but for a player like him, it's going to help. The interesting thing I noticed was that he seems to score better with Wardlaw in the team. I guess there's like less attention on him and less pressure. So he does 105 with Wardlaw and only 93 without him. So he's another one, kind of like the Heaney-Golden relationship. So, you know, if you're looking at LDU and Wardlaw injures himself badly in the preseason, then I would definitely be looking away. Because, you know, a 93 at LDU's price is not what you want at all. So while we're on North and Wardlaw, I'll skip Dawson for a second. So Wardlaw's, I think he's an interesting one. He maybe not split it up so much like pre and post buy, but up until his last 4 games, he was going 51% CBAs. But in the last 4 games, he averaged 70% CBAs and he averaged 100. So we can see here that he went 78.2 pre-buy for score. So he's jumped up 7.3. But yeah, it's probably because those last 4 games really pulled it up. So he's another one that I can pretty safely say more CBAs is going to be more score. The only problem with Wardlaw, like he looks really good and stuff, but so far his body's made of paper. So yeah, it's hard to pick him with any confidence, I think. It'd be good if he was a lot cheaper, but, you know, he's not. And there's other players around that price point that are much safer. So I go back up to Dawson, and he's had the 7.9 increase. So really the only thing that changed for him was he had a 10% increase in his disposal efficiency. So that's something that's really hurt his scores in the last couple of years. And it's strange because he is such a good kick, but it seems like when he's in the contest, he kind of just hacks away at it. So that's why I've always said I'd like to see him ideally off the half back. But yeah, that 10% increase, I think, made a bit of difference for him. I think he wasn't tagged quite as much as well in the second half of the year. But yeah, it'd be more the disposal efficiency thing, given we know how Supercoach scoring works, or, you know, more or less. Jason or Francis. So I'm not going to go through every player here because as we get down, I think, you know, closer to even, less and less statistically relevant. But yeah, Horn Francis here, he's the last one I'll do, I think, in the positive ones, because the rest here are just ultra consistent. So yeah, he had a 30% CBA drop in the post buy, which is interesting. But he only played 4 games post buy, and pretty much this is skewed, this post buy average, because he absolutely loaded up against Melbourne and West Coast. So I wouldn't pay too much attention to this, I think, or at least not until, you know, you've looked into it properly. Because all these videos that I do, they kind of end up tying together, I think. There's no point just taking one stat or one category by itself, because it can be misleading, definitely in situations like this. So as I said, these guys here from like Butters down, look at Bontempelli, 129 and then 131. Like, that is insane. I wish I could pick him, but he's just too expensive. Yeah, these guys are ultra consistent. Even into the negative ones here. Like Hewitt was another one. He was playing out of his skin. He couldn't sustain that in the second half of the year. Where should I start for this? Probably Ashcroft, I'd say. So 7.5. That's a big enough drop that it's probably worth talking about. So he had a 6% drop in his disposal efficiency, and he also got 1 less free 4 per game post buy. So it doesn't sound like much, but I think, yeah, if you look at it, what's he dropped? So 7.5 points per game down. So if 1 free kick and that 6% drop in disposal efficiency, that's going to pretty much account for that, I would say. So there's not really much to see there. Plus, his final series was really good. I think he tonned in every game, so I wouldn't be worried about this if you're looking at picking him. Brayshaw was another one, so he started really hot. I owned him. We kind of predicted this last preseason, so he was a pretty popular pick. His disposal efficiency went down by 8% in the post-buy. Uncontested possessions were down by 3, and he was averaging 1 more free kick against per game. So, especially if that's in a key part of the game, that's going to hurt big time. But the good thing is, it's safe to say, I think, that it wasn't a role change at all. It was just, a few things that he was doing or not doing. So yeah, it's, as I said before, it's pretty hard to maintain these kind of averages. So the fact that he dropped down to a 105, while not ideal, it's not the end of the world. Like, you see a minus 17 here, and you think, oh, that's horrible. But, if he was doing the 105, and then he went minus 17, suddenly you're down to like 88. That's not good. But coming down from a 122, we can live with that. And he turned out to be a good pick, I think, for the price that he was. Libber. So, people probably writing Libber off because he's old, and fair enough, but it's, he just keeps on scoring. So a lot of people have suggested with him that he scores better without Bont, and it's totally the case. I was trying to find something that would, go against that popular view, or at least, a talking point, but honestly, I couldn't find anything. So, he does 109 with Bont and 119 without him. And when Bont's in the team, he loses 11% CBAs on average. So, yeah, that is the reason. I included Ned Long because I think he's got future primo potential, and I had him this year, and he could be frustrating at times, but there was a good run there where, he was scoring nice and consistent, like 80s and 90s and stuff. I think there was even one game where he went like 130, 140. Shout out to Supercoach God, because he was the first one to get on that pick, and yeah, I took the punt, and I'm glad I did, but I held on to him too long. So, through bad choice, but also circumstances that I couldn't control as well. But yeah, he was doing 93 pre-buy, almost 94, and he's dropped right down post-buy. Pretty much, he can't score with DeGoey in the team. So, he averaged 54% CBAs with DeGoey in the team and 71% without. And just from, I don't even need numbers to tell you this, but watching Ned Long play, if he's not in the centre bounce, he's basically ineffective. Like, he's another Matt Crouch, Tom Mitchell. I think he's one of those kind of players. He's in there, he's in and under, he's that extractor kind of guy. So he gets it and feeds it out to the classier players like, Dacos, Pendlebury, whatever. So yeah, he ended up averaging 72 with DeGoey in the team and 88 without him. And I know, correlation doesn't equal causation, but I think there's enough to back this up. His TOG also didn't change in the post-buy. And I think that is the dead giveaway, that, his drop-off was purely role-based. So he needs those CBAs. Okay, so these last two here, you're probably wondering why the hell I included them. So Cooper Lord and Harry Rouston for GWS. I wanted to do them separately because both of them didn't play much before the buy, and to be honest, like, they were just littered with sub games and crap like that, and there really wasn't much to go on. So I thought I'd do them by themselves because I find these two interesting, but they wouldn't have really fit otherwise. So we'll start with Cooper Lord, who on the eye test looks like a really good player. So if I was Michael Voss, with all the crap in that team, I would be prioritising him real quick. But if we go by the numbers, before round 19, he averaged 13% CBAs, but in the final 4 games, he averaged 53% CBAs, and his average score across those 4 games was 103. So that right there stands out to me. It's obviously a case of, can he get CBAs? So when he got those 53% CBAs in the last 4 games, there was no Chera, but he does look to be the next in line after, Cripps, Hewitt, Chera and Walsh. So if any of those usual 4 go down with any significant injury in the pre-season. And, you know, there's a good chance that Chera and Walsh probably will with their injury history, and I'm not wishing that on them, but neither of them are exactly durable. Then he's definitely worth more than a look. So even without those two injured, he's going to be a big watch for me. And especially if one of them does get injured. So if he averaged that, I wouldn't expect him to average 103 for a whole season, but, you know, even if he went like 95 or something, he's still going to make you plenty of money. I think he's priced at like he's in the 300 somewhere. He's like 320k. So if he did go at 90, he would make you your 150k. And I know a lot of people now, they like to use 120k instead because we have more trades, and that's fair enough. But I'm old school, so I'll stick with the 150 because if you just miss out on it, you've still made more than you need to. And so Rouston, to finish up with, he only played 2 games pre-bye. So in those 2 games, he had 64% CBAs, and he had 38% post-bye. And the reason why is because it seemed that he lost his CBAs to Cornelio. But, you know, surely that can't continue forever. Cornelio's on his last legs, I think, and I don't know if GWS are really in the window. I could be wrong, but to me, they're probably just out of it. So putting in someone like Rouston over Cornelio makes sense, but I don't know what Adam Kingsley is prioritising. So, you know, it is a risky kind of pick, but I'm not advocating to pick for him. It's just worth talking about him, I think, because this kind of stood out to me. He randomly scored 111, where he got 4 goals, and he had 0 CBAs in that game, which was round 23, and that was against Gold Coast. So yeah, that's an interesting one. I guess he can hit the scoreboard, which is a good sign. So pretty much, yeah, he's done 80.5 with 64% CBAs, and still not too bad, 72 with 38% CBAs. So yeah, that stood out to me. Not as much as Lord, but definitely one to watch, I think. So if he did get those CBAs back off Cornelio, and he averaged 80 again, then he's going to make you enough money, because he's even cheaper again. He's like 230k because of all the sub games. So both of these players, they were just riddled with sub games, and really weird. Like Lord especially, he would have a couple of really good games, and then Voss would make him the sub again. Things like that. I can't make sense of it. You'd think if you're in Carlton's position and you've got a really good young player, you'd just be prioritising them, because Carlton are way outside the window, in my opinion, and any sane person's opinion. So yeah, that's about it. Hopefully there's some talking points in that for you, and let me know in the comments what you think, and if any of these where I couldn't quite work it out, especially Tuke Miller, let me know if you know why they had this differential from pre to post buy. I'll get another video out soon. It may even be tomorrow if I get time, but most likely on Tuesday. And we'll do something else. Maybe I'll do the forwards pre and post buy. I might even do like I don't know, midfielders or defenders and wins and losses, something like that. Mix it up a bit. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments, and yeah, I'll see you in one of those videos.